So a petition was started about a few days ago about defunding the police, defending black lives. This is a common response every time something bad happens. It's like, okay, stop the person causing the death or the horrible thing we don't like. And boy, what a scary thing to think of. If this is the precursor to removing public security from our cities and the transition therein. Not to say the transition to a private security or some other collective, non-government funded security is going to be good or bad. I have no idea. But that's a dangerous precedent to set when we think it's time to defund the public security force in favor of something else without having a proper discussion. This is not the right way to go about doing it, especially with the reasonings therein. So let's see. Black people are dying of police terror in COVID-19. Neat how they combined police terror and an epidemic. I don't know. That's going to muddy the water of the argument, but okay. Black communities across the nation are mourning the deaths of George Floyd. Yes, they are. Tortured to death by Minneapolis police. Ahmaud Arbery, a jogger, who was killed by running in a residential neighborhood. I'm not sure how he was killed. I think what happened to this guy? I think he was hit by a truck. Hit by a truck. So, allegedly used a racial slur. Well, that's not related to police now, is it? So, you can't really use that in an argument. Maybe the guy was racially motivated. Maybe he was drunk. Who knows? That's not relevant to the argument. A jogger who was killed, yep. Breonna Taylor, EMT, killed while asleep. All right, so that was done by police, and we're going to see where she is. There she is. That was March the 12th, and she was indeed black. Okay, so let's count the number. This is from March the 8th to March the 14th. This data is from the Washington Post, I believe, and they get their data from, I can't remember exactly. Sorry, I can't remember where they came from. But this is their database spreadsheet on GitHub where they list all the people shot and killed by police, whether they were armed or what age they were, whether they were violent or had signs of mental conditions. So let's just go back to Breonna Taylor. So this, again, these are all deaths. So everyone's a tragedy. We're not grading them how relevant they are. We're just counting the number of people who are black in this regards, because this is what this is about. Black lives are important. Of course they are. So here's one black, two. Okay, so we have two between the days of March the 8th and March the 14th. So two blacks, fine. We have an unknown. We have two unknowns. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 whites. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Hispanics. We have one Asian, and that's that. Okay, so during this week or these days, we had a few blacks and a lot of whites that were shot and killed by police. And we can do the same with everyone else here. Dries John Reed. I don't know if that's going to pop up. There it is. Okay. So, and this is a different week. This is May the 3rd to May the 9th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blacks that week. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 whites that week. 1, 2, 3, 4 unknowns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Hispanics. So it's up in the air. There are all sorts of arguments to be made, and we can keep going. It's not a big deal, but obviously people are sensitive over the death of George. So again, 1, 2, 3 blacks, 1, 2 white, 1, 2, 3, 4 Hispanic, other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 unknowns. So variability, that's between May the 20th and May 29th. And this is fairly recent. We're up to June the 2nd as it comes in. So people getting shot by police seem to be rather random. It's not just black people. But of course, because of what happened to George Floyd, everyone's up in arms. So at the same time, the United States leads the world in COVID-19 cases. Okay. More than 100,000 people, enough to fill a football stadium, have perished from the virus, with other 1 million cases confirmed, and those numbers didn't reflect all the people dying from virus-related illnesses. What? Black people are suffering disproportionately from COVID-19, 4 times more likely to die than their white neighbors. Okay, so that we should defund the police because black people are more susceptible to a virus? Doesn't it have to do more with healthcare and cleanliness and, I don't know, other practices? Trying to tie that all into police is a little tough sell there. It's important to state this within the context of the scourge of anti-black police terror and the resulting uprisings taking place across the U.S. I see a bunch of people looting and destroying public and private property. That's what I see. It's those two things are obviously related, but for the wrong reasons. Trump administration, U.S. blah blah blah. The time has come to defund the police. Okay, why? What is the problem with the police? I mean, a lot of people who are against the police force or who have political mindsets like anarcho-capitalism or anarcho-communism say, hey, let's get rid of all these publicly funded things and start up something else. So anytime to defund anything, people on other sides of the aisle are like, yeah, great idea. Let's just stop spending money. People who want to balance the budget, the same way. It's like, yeah, just stop spending money. So a lot of people would probably sign this on that alone. It's like defund anything, defend anything. Yeah, sure, go for it. We're all for it. Defunding it, great. Problem is, who are you going to call? Which law do you follow when there is no person with a gun protecting the law? You have policemen, policewomen to protect you. It's kind of a given thing. Who's going to come in and are you going to rely on your community? Do they have guns? Do they have lethal force to scare away intruders and robbers? Looking at some numbers here, so we do know that whites are killed more by police, not because the police hate white people. It's because there's more white people in the States. That's just basic stuff. It's the same with the FBI. If we look at the percentage of people, even the numbers, this is from 2016, from all sorts of agencies being reported, it's obviously more white people than black committing crimes because there's more white people. It's really that obvious. Now what's interesting is there's 2 numbers here, which we can see from the top, of the percentages of the crimes themselves caused more by blacks than any other racial group, which are robbery and murder and non-negligent manslaughter. So it kind of makes sense, if we're going to use these numbers, why police would be killing more blacks. Because they're doing more violent crimes. But they're not. They're killing more whites. Now, these are 2 different sets of stats. You can't correlate them exactly. But just looking at this, because there's more whites, all these crimes that have been arrested for, whether you're above or below 18 years of age, aside from those 2, have been done by whites. So rape, aggravated assault, burglary, larceny, theft, all majority done by whites. Why? They are the majority of the population. So yeah, great. Defund the police because black people are dying and getting killed by police, even though it's whites. who are mostly dying by police. These are shot to death data. Now this goes on. We have Brie Larson talking about defunding things in your city, and you're thinking, okay, this is a budget. There's arguments to do so because budgets get big. When cities get bigger, you need more resources to facilitate the infrastructure of those cities. So firemen, police, any other sectors that you need help with, public works, community centers, all sorts of stuff. So these are arguments to be had with your municipality, what you're spending money on, and why. Now, this has been going on for a few days now. John Legend, all these other folks have been signing this petition, what it means and why, and all this other stuff. And that's fine. These are arguments to be had. They're just bad reasons and motivations. If you look at some other posts that people have been making, there's a group called The 8 Can't Wait. And Natalie Portman posted this. And let's just go through some of these. Now, I'm not saying these are smart or stupid, but when you hear them, they sound a little bizarre. And they claim to observe that the states following these 8 procedures have less violent deaths from police. Which may be true. I'd have to look into that. But let's just listen to some of these. So ban strangleholds and chokeholds. It's like, okay. Why would you ever want to strangle someone? Why would a policeman ever want to do that? Maybe the person is hysterical. I don't know. But you know what? I would rather a policeman strangle me than shoot me. Given the choice. Maybe I'll get asphyxiated and pass out. Maybe I'll lose some flow to my brain. I might have a blood clot. You know what they didn't ban here? They didn't ban getting bashed in the head with a baton. Why don't we just ban batons then? Concussions are bad. Having my head caved in is bad. But you know what? Banning strangleholds and chokeholds, that's got to go. Require de-escalation. That's what cops do. If a cop doesn't want to shoot you, they probably don't want to. It's like, I don't want to shoot you. Let's talk it out. I think they've exhausted that point. Now, not all cops do this. Obviously, individuals are cops or can be cops, and they have to follow procedure, and sometimes they don't. Require officers to de-escalate situations. No shit. Where possible. No shit. By communicating. No shit. I mean, this is all stupid shit, which should be pretty obvious. But apparently, some states don't do this. Require warning before shooting. Okay, if a cop pulls a gun on you and tells you to do something, you do it. This is how it works. You have given up your rights to the state so the police can protect you. If a police is telling you to do something and they have a gun drawn on you, guess what? You listen. Very clearly. Now, in some cases, police get aggressive. They get angry. They're pensive. These things happen. They're not perfect. They're people too. But if it comes to them where they're pulling their gun on you and telling you what to do, you listen. It's really that simple. Requires exhaust. This is just getting pedantic now. Requires exhaust alternatives before shooting. Don't you think a policeman, after all their training, would generally do this? Communicate to the suspect. Say, wait a second. Okay, can you please take the knife away from that person's throat? Please put down the stereo, etc. You think they haven't tried this? Duty to intervene. This is interesting. Require officers to intervene and stop excessive force used by other officers and report these incidents immediately to supervisor. Yes. Every officer who's part of a team, who's on scene, has to write a report. They have to write a report every time they unholster their gun. They are trained to do this. Now, again, maybe they're not trained to write detailed reports or not doing enough information. That's possible. Maybe they're not paying as good attention, or they think this is overkill to say everything. but they're trained to do this. So maybe the lessons could be stricter. Maybe they need higher standards for reporting. Maybe you need to become a reporter to become a police officer. You have to have all these skills, communicate. But this is standard. They do this already. Ban shooting at moving vehicles. That's interesting. Restrict officers from shooting at moving vehicles, which is regarded as a particularly dangerous and ineffective tactic. Okay. Or you can blow out tires, or you can actually shoot the people behind the seats if you're a good shot. Why would I want the cops to let criminals get away? Like, why don't we just stop shooting people from running? Or while they're running? Don't shoot people when they're in the plane. Don't shoot people when they're on a train. Like, what do you do? just don't shoot people. It's like, ugh. Okay, reasons. Require use of force continuum. Here we have entered the world of the force continuum. Okay. Develop a force continuum that limits the type of force and or weapons that can be used to respond to specific types of resistance. Okay, so if someone has a gun and you have a knife, or rather if the perpetrator has a knife and you have a gun, you can't use your gun. You have to use like a baton or something, or like a pepper spray, or like what? Again, if a cop is telling you to do something and you have a knife, you put the knife down and you listen to the cop. Okay? You don't need a force continuum. This is getting bizarre. Yes, cops have tasers, some have guns, some have tasers, some don't have guns, etc. But a cop is telling you to do something, you listen. It's that simple. Once you've done that, once you stop listening to an officer, you're the one in danger. Now, again, overzealous cops, police brutality, these things happen. That's just more discipline is needed, more training, more standards, more higher standards are needed for people becoming police officers. Not a force continuum. Require comprehensive reporting. I think the same as this. Officers report each time they use force or threaten to use force against civilians. That's where to report. That's not a problem unless you're by yourself or the cop is by themselves and they are negligent in their duty to report. Again, I don't know how it is in other countries, but in Canada, a police officer draws their weapon. They are writing up all sorts of reports. If they perchance even fire their weapon, they got to say what were they firing at, what were they aiming at. They got to take into account all their ammo. It's pretty strict. So I don't know how it is other parts of the world, but yeah, this is kind of important, and it's mandatory, it's standard. So some of these are understandable, but some of them are just like banned chokeholds. Like what? So yeah, people are losing their minds and trying to do things and say things like, yeah, get rid of the public police force because we have our private security. We're rich millionaires. It's funny. I find it entertaining. But hey, it's a very sensitive time right now, very sensitive topic. Obviously, you're going to get some bad ideas and hilarious things coming out. But what do you guys think? What's the best way to take care of violence from police? Is it to remove them entirely? Is it to defund them? What are you going to do? Get some private organizations vying for your dollar to be have a private police force of a series thereof? Very interesting stuff. This is stuff you usually talk about in crime fiction or science fiction or other concepts in storytelling, but interesting things, kind of funny. Thanks for listening, guys. Have yourself a great day.